and welcome to Connected, episode 311. It is made possible this week by our sponsors, Squarespace, Mint Mobile, and Pingdom. My name is Stephen Hackett, and I am joined by Mr. Myke Hurley.
Hi.
Hey, that's it? That's all you got?
Wow, so much tension already.
Look, there is no... Look, we're at war today.
Playing to win, wow.
Yeah, we're at war today. I'm not giving away anything. All you get from me is hi.
Wow.
Okay. Federico, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. And unlike my co-host, I can talk to you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, maybe make follow-up go faster if you can't talk.
Still not
Good.
saying anything. It's just
I know.
silent.
I don't even know if he's still here.
I'm
he
not
left
in the
the show.
conversation. You two are having a conversation. You know, I'm biding my time. I like all pointed words today, only when needed.
Okay, so if you want, we can call you back in like 30 minutes.
What, just when it's time for the Rickies?
Yeah, if you just
I'll
want
just
to
sit and wait.
Yeah,
I could just go over my list and make sure it's all good. No,
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm in it. I'm in it to win it.
sure. If that's what you think.
Defending royal champion.
You're in it for second place.
Cool.
Can I talk about St. Jude for a second?
Please do.
Yes.
I would like to do that. So September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and every year, us at Relay and a bunch of our friends, we spend time to raise money and talk about St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. So what is Children's Research Hospital, you may ask? Why do you need something like that? Well, it turns out that cancer is the number one disease that kills young people. It is something that St. Jude, through their over 50 years of history, have gotten childhood cancer from a 20% survival rate to an 80% survival rate. So they've made incredible progress over the last 5 to 6 decades, but there's still so much more to do. And you may think, well, Stephen, who put you in charge of talking about this? Well, let me tell you a little story. So now 11 and a half years ago, my wife and I, we had our first child, and at his 6-month healthy baby checkup, you know, where they go and they like measure them and do all the stuff, the doctor had some concerns, and we went really in about 72 hours from having a healthy baby boy, or we thought was a healthy baby boy, to a baby boy that was undergoing a pretty extensive brain surgery to remove what would be a pretty large cancerous tumor. And that set off the journey we're still on today. We went from that initial surgery to St. Jude, where he underwent 18 rounds of chemotherapy over the course of about 2 years, countless MRIs, physical therapy, occupational therapy, all the stuff that goes along with it. Because when you treat cancer, there's a bunch of stuff you got to do. It's not just about the tumors, but all this, the knock-on effects, all this stuff. And a couple things about that are incredible. One, my son is now a cancer survivor. That's a word we get to use in our household now, because he, through the wonderful people at St. Jude, is in 5th grade now and is getting ready to turn 12. And to see him running in the backyard, playing with his younger brother and sister, it's a miracle, and it is a miracle kind of brought into the world through St. Jude. But as incredible as that is, and it really is incredible, St. Jude has never billed my family a dime for that care. We're talking 11 and a half years of care. It's ongoing. Like, there are still things we are dealing with, and St. Jude just takes care of us, just like they do all of their other patient families. And they can do that because people like me and you donate and give to St. Jude. So if you go to stjude.org/relay, we are in the middle of our campaign for them this year. As I record this, as I'm speaking right now, we are approaching $160,000 raised.
Yes, we
which
are.
is simply incredible.
Come on,
simply
everyone.
incredible.
Unbelievable.
It is.
Thank you.
I have a little chart showing how incredible it is, because the Apple community always gets behind this every year, which is really cool and really humbling. But this year in particular, we've been off to a really good start. But there's a lot more to go. Next Friday, we will be hosting the second annual Podcastathon, a 6-hour live video show on our Twitch channel, where it's me and Myke hosting sort of a old school telethon mixed with some sort of podcast extravaganza, having a bunch of Relay hosts on. Jason Snell is doing a big thing for it. It's going to be a lot of fun. So that's on Friday, September 18th from 2 to 8 p.m. Eastern. Intermixed with that, we'll be talking about St. Jude, sharing a lot about the hospital. We have some really cool stuff planned this year. Like, I can't wait to share with everybody what we've been working on. And this project has been going on since February. We've really put a lot of work into it this year with the people at St. Jude and Allsack, and we are super excited that everyone's on board. So go check it out, stjude.org/relay.
We had some follow-up about backhoes, but I guess most importantly, how was your excavator experience?
Well, it was a backhoe. It was not an excavator, first of all. It was good. We got the sewer line replaced, and there's a big scar across my yard, and I'm probably going to have to put some more dirt in and definitely have to buy some more grass at some point. But it was a successful 2-day mission to to replace all that piping deep, very far under my front yard. But the most important part was this machine called? And so I talked to the guys about this, and then Dr. Drang, we have a link to a blog post he wrote in 2014 about this. And what the crew came to my house, at least, is a backhoe loader, or backhoe for short. So it has the bucket, like you scoop things up, bucket in the front, and then the excavator, like arm with smaller bucket on the back. That's what they used to destroy my yard. And it's a backhoe. That's what they call it. That's what it is. It is distinct, it seems like, from these other types of things.
You see, there's an issue in the logic there. I just want to confirm. You said that's what they call it. That's what it is. Those two things aren't necessarily the same thing.
The name on Dr. Drang's post is backhoe loader. They just lop off the last word. It doesn't confuse it with anything else because the other thing is called an excavator.
But how can we be so sure that Dr. Drang is telling the truth? And it's not just...
Because he's a snowman, he can't lie.
The collusion has begun.
What if this is all like part of a big Q excavator conspiracy type of deal?
Yeah. They're both part of Big Backhoe.
This is the deep excavation state that we're facing here.
Mm-hmm.
So 6 years ago, Dr. Drang wrote a blog post.
We don't know that. He could have written it 2 days ago and just dated it as 6 years ago. Do any of us remember this backhoe post?
How can you even know? Did you read it 6 years ago?
Probably.
I don't know. I mean, the tweet by Marco Arment that he's referencing doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah, but I've deleted all my tweets twice. That's not a thing.
Yeah, but we all know how easy it is to fake a Twitter screenshot.
Also, those are not screenshots. Those are like his custom Twitter embeds. Those are not screenshots.
You see?
So, and when you click on the link, it goes nowhere. So I'm leaning towards conspiracy theory here. This is a backdated article with tweets that were never actually sent.
Yep.
To further this theory of the backhoe being the correct name for what is actually an excavator. And what are these other things? Like, what is a scraper? Like, have you ever seen a scraper?
I just want to know why.
That thing does not exist. It's like something from a video game. A scraper, a soil compactor. Like, this sounds like tools straight out of Animal Crossing. They don't sound like actual things.
We're going to get to the bottom of this.
We did, in my front yard. When I asked the guy who's done it for 50 years, what is this machine called? And he said a backhoe.
Neither of us were there to corroborate this.
The guy is in on the thing.
Well, I'm pleased that your gardening and your plumbing situation has been resolved.
Yes.
I'm happy about that.
So far, so good. Shall we move on to another piece of heavy equipment?
Mm-hmm.
I put the wheels on my Mac Pro this weekend.
You sure did, didn't you?
I did it as a live stream, part of the Podcastathon run-up. I put it over on the 512 YouTube channel, where people don't like it. I had to delete a lot of ugly comments from this.
Why?
But whatever.
What?
I don't know. People were upset that, I guess, things cost money. I don't know.
People were just upset that you paid the money for the wheels, right?
I guess.
Right.
But I donated the same amount to St. Jude on the stream. Cool it, people on the internet. But I put them on. Myke, you watched it. Some other people have seen it. I thought it was a lot of fun. The wheels are very nice. They're the nicest wheels you've ever seen. And I'm excited that my Mac Pro can wheel around my office now.
Gray told me he watched it and enjoyed it too.
Oh, boy.
You know, and he's like, I hate when he's like, he secretly is at things and you find out later on.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yep. But he did, and it was very good. I also found it kind of funny that you had to nearly abandon it very soon, which was surprising to me because I feel like I know you very well. I'm surprised that you didn't know that you didn't have necessarily the tool that you needed before you started.
Well, part of it was I wanted to do it live, you know? as the kids say. And I figured I have a bunch of tools. I have the whole iFixit kit. I'll be able to do this. And turns out that the little wiggly part I had, is you have to use a flexible screwdriver, wasn't quite the right size. The wheels come with a bit from Apple, and I didn't want to use a different bit because, this is maybe something weird. So I just had to run to my garage and get something else, and it came together okay.
Flexible screwdrivers is one of those things that I know how they work, but I also don't believe that they work. It seems so bananas that a screwdriver can bend. There's something really about that to me, which is very strange.
It's really the backhoe of the toolbox, is what you're saying.
It sure is. It sure is. But I'm pleased. How do you find your wheels? You moving the computer around a lot now? What are you doing with it?
No, I haven't. I haven't moved it. It's very nice, though, when you do. I had it on the table. I was like, no, I need to sit you on the floor because you can roll now.
Yeah.
I need you to stay put. But yeah, it's they're very, very nice. The Mac Pro is taller now. It's like an inch taller, which is weird. But, it's a rolly computer now.
I guess it's a quick way to find out if you have on-level flooring, right?
Yes, which I definitely do in this office, but this is on a rug, so it's got some friction. It's not going to go anywhere.
Right. Just like one day you're working and you hear thunk as the Mac Pro just rolls into the wall.
Or like my mouse and display get pulled to the back of the desk because the cable's got
they
tight.
just fly off the desk.
That would be bad.
The Mac Pro is just hurtling towards the door.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I hope you find some fun things to do with it now that you've got wheels on it.
Yeah, I think there's some fun stuff to do. People have asked about the feet I took off of it. I'm just going to say you will see those soon. That's all I'm going to say. But they're still part of the 512 universe, as they call it.
The extended.
The 512 groupies.
How many of them are there?
It's just John Voorhees.
Oh, there's just one. Okay. Interesting. Well,
He's got some pom-poms. One's black and one's orange to match the site. It's very nice.
You got to start small, right?
Yeah, what's his name said the thing about 1,000 true fans, and that seems impossible when you mostly write about dead computers.
One true John. That's what you have.
One true John.
Yeah, who needs 1,000 true fans and you have one true John?
You need 1,000 Johns. Also.
Wow, can you imagine that? That's a lot of burnt burritos,
That's
am I right?
basically WWDC, 1,000 Johns. Anyway.
That's actually quite true. Everyone's called John. Too many Johns.
There's everywhere. So I think that's follow-up, guys.
Are we done already?
I think we've done it. Yeah, there wasn't much this week.
Oh, cool.
Not that much.
Okay, so we're done. So
we all just want to get to the Rickies. Everything before the Rickies begins, it's merely just taking up time until the Rickies start. So let's keep this train on moving.
Okay, well, the next stop on the train is an advertisement. Let's do that.
Okay. I feel like the advertisement is like you stop for a minute. Like the train's going to stop for a minute before it carries on.
Choo-choo. Time to make some money.
Okay. That's the money train.
This episode of Connected is brought to you by Squarespace. Make your next move with Squarespace because it lets you easily create a website for your next idea. You get a unique domain name, you get to choose from award-winning templates, and much more. So think about what you may need for this new project. Maybe an online store, or a portfolio, or a blog, or photo gallery. All of this stuff is possible because Squarespace is the all-in-one platform that just takes care of this stuff for you. You don't have to become a server admin like Jason Snell and have to worry about installing things and patching things, upgrading things. Squarespace simply has all of that covered. They have award-winning 24/7 customer support if you need any help or have any questions. Lets you quickly and easily grab a unique domain name. And of course, all of those templates are beautifully designed for you to show off your work. Just this morning, I was in a Squarespace site that I built for a client earlier this year. They had a couple changes they needed to make, and it's super easy. You log in. I clicked on the page where I wanted to edit the content. I edited the content and moved on with my day. Squarespace really makes it fast to keep your site up to date. Their plans start at just $12 a month, but you can start a trial with no credit card required by going to squarespace.com/connected. When you decide to sign up, use the offer code CONNECTED to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain and to show your support for the show. Once again, that's squarespace.com/connected and the code CONNECTED to get 10% off your first purchase. I'd like to thank Squarespace for their support of the show and all of Relay FM. Squarespace, make your next move, make your next website. So on to some news. This broke yesterday. I'm looking at an article on macstories.net. about Oprah's book club podcast. So back, I guess last March or whenever, Apple sort of rolled out their content plan. Oprah was going to do a whole bunch of stuff, and this is another one of those. Her book club, of course, is very famous. I remember, like, as a kid, like, you go into a bookstore and, like, the Oprah book club sticker on a book meant it was going to be sold out because she's very influential. And now they are kind of launching from that, moving into podcasting.
Yeah, the deal between Oprah and Apple is different to the types of deals that Apple's been doing with other content creators, where it's funny for me to call Oprah a content creator. I don't really think that accurately describes Oprah Winfrey, but nevertheless, this is content. She is creating it. But it was more of like an overall deal for everything. Like, it's not just TV Plus, which Oprah is producing things to TV Plus, but it's books and podcasts and basically anything. You know, like if Oprah wants to make it, Apple will take it. That's fun. I might use that again.
I'm sorry, can you explain to me, like, what is the Oprah book club? Like, a bunch of people read the same book that Oprah is reading?
Yeah, and then there's like there will be like there's like a TV component, right? So she'll talk about it, maybe have the author on and interview them, and it's kind of just like, here is the book. You have a month to read the book. You know, it's like a book club but hosted by Oprah Winfrey, and you don't get to talk to her.
I see. Okay.
So now there's an Oprah Winfrey podcast as well as the many, many other things. But this is a book club podcast, and I'm sure will be just the first of many podcasts that Oprah Winfrey produces for Apple.
And you may be out there listening, thinking, this is the year of Steven. Steven talked about, in his annual picks, Apple's content plans. Well, it turns out, I thought this too.
Yeah, you did.
And I already have the point. I had the point in June, but my round 2 pick for the annual predictions, Apple launches its own podcast content beyond Oprah. So I have like the inverse of this now true as well. So I think that's 2 points for the annual predictions.
No, this is a point. This is a non-counted point for me because I preempted this news. I knew this was going to happen. Apple didn't say it, but I knew it was going to happen. I knew there'd be Oprah Winfrey podcasts, which is why
I don't think that's
I
like
specifically said, no, you have to say not Oprah. And you were like, okay, not Oprah. So there you go. How about that? Year of Myke.
That feels like retrofitting history to fit a narrative you want out there in the world.
It's funny you're the one who's suggesting that, but yeah.
Year of Steven, Myke.
Yeah. How are you doing so far on all of the predictions?
Wasn't the year of Steven last year? Like, why are we still doing this?
It's not the year of Steven, because Steven currently holds no titles.
You hold no title.
Well, that's going to change next week.
It used to be like a 2019 thing. Like, I don't understand why you keep saying this.
None of us want to admit 2020 is real. If we stay in 2019... I mean, things are still bad in 2019, but there's not a pandemic at least, so...
Okay, so that means I get to keep my annual chairman title, right? Because 2020 doesn't exist.
That's not how that
so it doesn't...
works.
Okay, so...
See, again, this
it's
is
an
another
American
situation
holiday.
where Steven just has a narrative that fits himself, and he just builds his own timelines for everything.
That's slanderous.
Is it though? I just feel like you are feeding Myke and me with conspiracy after conspiracy today.
Yep.
From
what's a backhoe?
From the backhoe to the calendar year? Like, is it anything else that you want to lie about today?
Currently, in the 2020 annual predictions, Myke and I are tied with 1 each. But a bunch of these are going to come true in the next week or so. Like, the annual predictions are getting ready to get real interesting with this event, which we'll talk about later. So anyways, Oprah's doing podcast stuff. Makes lots of sense. She's doing lots of content. I think it's interesting that Apple's moving into podcasting. Like we've talked about this ages ago, but they're doing it in a very different way than, say, Apple TV Plus. Like, these are just podcasts that are open. Even their daily news show, which is like kind of just linked to Apple Podcasts, like, you can get it elsewhere if you know where to look. So Apple's
kind of doing it in none of the ways that people expected. Like, they're saying it's Apple Podcasts, but you can get it elsewhere. It's like they kind of couldn't really seem to commit to a strategy and pick something in the middle. So it's like both available everywhere, but they don't want it to be. So it's kind of strange.
So, is there anything going on next week?
Oh, God. Yeah, there is an Apple event.
One of the many.
It's happening next week. We found out about it yesterday. And then all of a sudden, a bunch of journalists started very confidently saying that it was not going to include the iPhone. So I think I saw both Mark Gurman and Nilay Patel talking about this. That this is just going to be iPad and Apple Watch. Apple isn't saying that, which I think is not look. I know I'm jumping ahead of myself, but I'm sure everybody listening to the show is kind of up to date, right? Like they know there's an Apple event next week. I can't imagine we've just broken that news to anybody. It's just like someone's just like had to steer off the road in their car and like park for a minute because they're so surprised. But I think that it is quite a peculiar strategy from Apple if there is no iPhone next week to just go ahead and have an event without saying that, because it's September. People kind of expect the iPhone, right? And I think it would be a bold strategy to just roll into an event that's beginning and then show off two products that are not iPhones and then be like, see ya, right? Like I feel like there needs to be, and honestly, I feel like there should have been a little bit more, right? And so like it's not like Apple's never done this before. There have been many times in the past, I can think of one, and I'm sure Stephen can give me more, where the event is like very clear, right? Like Back to the Mac is the one that I can think of, where the event could just be like, we want to talk to you about the Apple Watch, right? And like they went so far as to say, what is it, like it's time or something like that, which, all right, I mean, that probably means it, but I think it would have been beneficial to them to say, hey, we want to talk to you about the Apple Watch. Right, I just think that would have been a smart move, because I imagine like a lot of the news stories will be like, "Where's the iPhone?" Right, and I just think that is just going to take time. It's going to take attention away from whatever it is that they have decided to have the world watch them for.
Yeah, they're going to have to set those expectations. To back up a second, though, my favorite version of this, I'll put it in the show notes, is the iPad 2 keynote, where there's just a picture of the iPad 2. Like on the event, like on the thing. It's pretty funny in hindsight, but yeah, they're going to have to set expectations around this. I mean, Apple definitely leaks stuff, and so I think some of those people who are saying that, including us, like we weren't told that by anybody, but I think some people were probably.
I think so. I genuinely think so.
And the thing is, people are going to forget or just not know that on their quarterly call they said the iPhone's going to be late. People don't pay attention to that stuff. Look. We cover this for a living, and I barely pay attention to their.
And also, like the iPhone
calls.
Being late doesn't mean, like that could just mean shipping. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't mean that the event is late. And plus, this event is late anyway. They would be doing it this week.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like they've got to set this because regular people don't know or care about any of that stuff. They're just going to say Apple did a fall event. There's not an iPhone this year. Like I promise you, each of us, all of you listening, all of us nerds. We're all going to have a family member or friend text us and be like, is there not a new iPhone this year? I was going to upgrade. Right. It's going to happen. And so Apple's going to have to set that expectation.
I'm not completely convinced they won't show off the iPhone, right? Like, I don't know that. I genuinely
Is that your
don't
Ricky?
know.
Put your money where your mouth is.
No.
Make it a Ricky.
I'm not making a prediction. I'm just saying that like I personally am not 100% sure. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. They could. Like maybe they'll show something. I don't know what they're going to do. They might show off the 12 or whatever. I don't know. I don't think so, but I don't feel set because no one's told me otherwise, right?
And that's we're going to talk about this in a minute. That's kind of what's fun about this year, because anything that used to make sense is like up for grabs now, which is kind of fun.
It does make it interesting to talk about, at least, right? Because we have this conversation now, and then I just got so excited that I threw my Wacom pen over my shoulder by accident. Coffee's kicking in, boys. But like then we're gonna have the event, and then there will be conversation after the event in the intervening weeks about the fact of like what we don't have, which might not be a thing that we would normally talk about so much. So like just the peculiarness of the strategy is interesting, at least, because plus I can ask this question, which I'm about to ask, which is, Federico, how you feeling?
It's a mix of emotions right now. On the one hand, it feels really nice to have an Apple event and to be on the fact that we're waiting for new hardware, new toys, new things. I feel like it's a welcome change of pace given 2020 and everything happened. It's a nice distraction. It's nice to be thinking about the new things that we'll get to play around with soon. So it makes me feel a lot better that, like, it motivates me that there's stuff happening again. On the other, obviously I'm a bit bummed about the fact that it seems very likely that iOS 14 is going to launch in September. I was really hoping for some kind of delay to October. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I don't understand why it needs to come out now. I don't understand why Apple absolutely needs to release the new iPads, and especially the new Apple Watch with watchOS 7 right now. But hey, I don't work at Apple. I don't look at their financials, so it's their call. So I went through different stages, and I think right now in my stages of grief, I've reached acceptance. I think
that's good. That's a good one.
I have accepted the fact that there's a very good chance that my review will not be ready on day one. I know that it's a bummer because it sort of became a tradition to an extent in our community to have this long form story come out on day one. But I guess it's time to make new traditions then, if it's not ready for day one. It'll come out later. I just feel like it's important for me to release something that is up to my standards that I'm happy with. I don't want to rush anything. I feel like I would do a disservice to my readers if I rushed my review just to make it in time for day one. And if the review was incomplete or not edited enough, or didn't have all the Easter eggs that I like to leave in, or all the screenshots and details that I like to have in my reviews. So I really struggled, honestly, over the past month with accepting this stuff. And I think it's only fair that this is happening in the same year where a bunch of stuff is going on in my life. And it's fitting, I think, that I have to make this call this year. But I made it. It's, some other things are more important, have been more important. And we'll see what happens. Obviously, I don't want to be like a month late, but I think there's a very good chance that I will not be ready by, say, I don't know, September 24th or September 25th, right? So I'm trying to go as fast as I can. And I think it's okay. A lot of people were kind enough, especially connected listeners, were kind enough to get in touch with me on Twitter and over email. They've been super nice, saying things like, don't worry about it. It's fine. We're fine with waiting. We want to read your stuff when it's ready anyway. So I really appreciate those comments. I also have to account for the fact that I may have to write about whatever Apple announces next week, right? I don't know what's going on with iPad. I don't know what's going on with Apple's announcements. So I also have, like, in addition to the thing that I'm supposed to finish,
another review.
in addition to the thing I'm supposed to finish, there's the potential for extra work with another deadline.
I could be your ghostwriter if you want. I could write the review for you, and we could pretend it was you.
So,
I have Amiibo that I could put on top of the iPad.
Sure, you
take
can
pictures.
See, that's half the work already done. So I feel like I have accepted my fate, and I hope that people will accept it too. That there's a very good chance that the review will not make it for iOS 14's day one, and I'm going as fast as I can, and I hope to not, I hope to, like, I don't want to be a month late, of course. I don't want to be 3 weeks late either. So we'll see what the schedule is going to look like. This is a weird year. It's been a challenging past couple of months for me. But everything is, taking care of things. So everything is looking up and better. And we'll see in terms of this deadline what I can do. Is that enough of a satisfactory update?
What is the Miyamoto quote? A delayed game is forever bad.
No, you have it backwards.
The wrong way around. Whoops,
a
sorry.
delayed game is eventually good because
There
you delayed it. But a rushed game is forever bad. So they're really words to live by. I don't I couldn't live with myself, honestly, if I published a rushed iOS review, which I use myself as a reference. Like just today, I was reading through my old iOS 11 review to double check some information about notes. And I just couldn't accept it if I put out a review that was like half edited or just super rushed with typos and not enough detail in it. It's not something like I would trade page views for a delayed review that is of the quality that I expect myself. So if I lose some interest from people, so be it. Maybe those people, didn't care about Mac stories or me or my writing enough anyway, so that's fine. You can please everybody.
They're not your true Johns.
They're not my true Johns. They're not my true 1,000 Johns. And that's fine.
Johns.
That's totally fine. Like it'll be better next year, I hope.
But it's going to be great this year. You're going to get it done. It's going to be awesome. People are going to love it. All right. We don't have to look at it this way, Federico, that like it will be better next year. It's going to be great this year. Like don't have that mentality. You don't need to have that mentality.
I really like where this review is going, and I really like I like what I'm doing. It just I wish I had more time. That's it. But also
But you do, though. You have as much time as you want.
Yes, but also I gotta be realistic, right? If iOS comes out in September, it's not like I can publish my review in November. Like that would be bad. However,
I might be pushing it a touch. Yeah.
Exactly. So I don't want to push it. Like I understand that people are kind enough to wait. I just don't want to make them wait longer. It becomes like one of those projects then that you're never gonna finish. So you do need some kind of deadline, but I also understand that the actual deadline set from Apple will likely be too aggressive for me to follow without killing myself, and I honestly don't want to do that. Finding a nice compromise, I guess, between these things is the ideal outcome here. But yeah, I'm happy with what I have so far. So it should be good when it comes out eventually.
This episode of Connected is brought to you by Mint Mobile. Breaking up with your old wireless provider just got a whole lot easier thanks to Mint Mobile. They were the first company to sell premium wireless service online only. And now Mint Mobile is introducing their unlimited data plan for just $30 a month. Yep, you heard me. Unlimited data plan for $30. So how much is your soon-to-be ex-wireless provider charging you? I bet it's more. I've got a Mint Mobile SIM in my Pixel 3a. It was super easy to set up. It all came to my door, really clear directions, and honestly, I had it up and running in just a few minutes. It was incredibly simple. You go to the carrier store and you're there for 2 hours, not with Mint Mobile. For people who hate their phone bill and are ready for something new, Mint Mobile offers their premium unlimited plan for just $30 a month. They can do this by going online only, eliminating the traditional cost of retail and then passing those savings to you. All plans come with unlimited talk and text, plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number and all your existing contacts. If you're not 100% satisfied, Mint Mobile has you covered with their 7-day money-back guarantee. So break up with Big Wireless and switch to Mint Mobile's premium unlimited data plan for just $30 a month. To get your new unlimited wireless plan and to get it shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/connected. That's mintmobile.com/connected. So cut your unlimited wireless bill to $30 a month at mintmobile.com/connected. Our thanks to Mint Mobile for their support of the show and Relay FM. The Rickies are upon us.
Yes.
I, for one, am ready.
Mm-hmm.
But before we do this, we have to talk about the rules.
The Bill of Rickies.
The Bill of Rickies, you mean?
The Bill of Rickies. Point 1. The winner, who will be called Chairman Ricky, from the previous Rickies gets to pick first, and the second place winner gets to pick second. So
I think we've actually amended that, right?
This is copied from the Google Doc. So this is
right,
law.
but it's not chairman, is it? It's like keynote chairman and annual chairman. So it's keynote chairman Ricky. Although current keynote chairman is the royal keynote chairman.
No, that one's made up. So we are basing this ordering based on what happened at WWDC, in which Myke won, I lost only by a coin toss, and then Federico brought up the rear in third place. So this is a little bit different than the annual winners, which Federico is our annual winner from last year. They roll over to preserve the order, so the 2019 annual winner gets to go first, and the next year's annual sets is a little bit different here. So we are based on the previous Apple event, and of course, the loser goes last. To earn any points, everything written down in the prediction document must come true. There are no half points awarded in any round, and picks cannot be reused. Here's how the scoring works. 1 point is awarded for any pick deemed correct in the first 2 rounds. 2 points will be awarded for correct picks in the risky pick round. Here's the thing. If your risky pick is wrong, you lose 1 of your points. And the 2 other hosts must have agreed that your pick was risky. Welcome to the argument we've had the last 12 hours.
Oh, it's been bad. There was a point where I can only imagine how Federico was acting in real life, because he just said, "Well, you pick it for me then." So that was
so
how
I literally closed
our morning
the document and went to do something else. So,
So
like,
it was
fine.
a difficult day today.
Yes.
That's right. We also have non-graded flexi picks. So these are they're not part of the point total. They don't go towards the naming of the chairman. Here's how this works.
Well, this is the first time that the flexies are being put into the true new effect.
That's true. This is the first time. So the loser of the non-graded flexi picks must compensate the winner by $25 per wrong flexi made by the loser.
Wait, what? Can you repeat this?
It is a touch confusing.
Do we need to pay money now?
Yeah, we agreed on this.
This was your idea.
Yeah, you got a little bit.
Did I actually come up with this idea also?
Yeah.
Yes, this is all you.
Oh my god!
It was during WWDC.
Loser of the non-graded flexi picks must compensate the winner.
Must compensate the winner by $25 per flexi that was wrong by the loser.
Oh, okay. Yes. The
You
loser.
remember now?
The loser must purchase a surprise. Please continue reading them. I now remember.
The loser must purchase a surprise for the winner, matching that cost. The cost then must be matched by the loser in the form of a donation to a charity of the winner's choice.
Okay.
stjude.org/relay. In the case of a tie, the ratio of correct to incorrect flexis will be taken into account. And finally, each host must make a minimum of 5 flexi picks. You can do more than 5, but a minimum of 5.
Right, I want a clarification. I'm not.
This
right, so the loser must
punishment.
purchase a surprise.
This punishment
and
is
then
so hard.
the costs must be matched by the loser?
But also, you gotta give him $25 per flexi.
Okay, so here's I think we should simplify this. The way this reads right now, you have to pay them cash, and you have to give them something, and you have to donate to a charity. That's
like,
too
I
much.
think we
Oh
got
my
that
God.
wrong.
So
we
I
definitely
think-
got that wrong.
No. It's not written out right. I think
We agreed on it.
it's not like you gotta give him money and then a gift and then a donation.
Yeah, I don't think that's right.
The first sentence describes the amount of money, like how you calculate the monetary value of
Okay.
the
Yep.
purchase and the donation. It's not like you also gotta give him cash in addition to the gift and the donation.
So I think I would have to give, say I got 3 things wrong. I would have to buy a $75 gift for the winner,
exactly.
say Federico,
Yes.
and then also donate $75
Exactly.
to a charity. So you lose a lot of money, but it's only twice, not 3 times.
but you don't give me $75 cash.
You also don't get $75 cash. No.
Yes.
So what I'm suggesting is that we simplify this, and it just becomes a charity donation. None of us need surprises from the other ones. And so we would say...
But the surprises are funny, though, right?
This is funny.
Yeah, I mean, look, are we really going to do that? Like, are you really going to buy me something and ship it to my house? Like, no one's going to do this.
Amazon.
Let's look into our hearts. So my suggestion for this rule change, I'll see what you guys think.
Mm-hmm.
Loser of the non-graded flexis must compensate the winner by donating to the charity of the winner's choice. The amount of the donation is $25 per wrong flexi made by the loser. That's simpler.
It's simpler, yes.
So it's just the same thing without the gift.
Basically. And it's written out in a way that doesn't sound like it's cash and a surprise and a thing.
I think I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
easier.
Before I copy this to the bottom of the document, I'm going to read it one more time. Loser of the non-graded Flexies must compensate the winner of the Flexies, clarify that, by donating to the charity of the winner's choice. The amount of the donation is $25 per wrong Flexi made by the loser. So, just a hypothetical, Myke gets all 5 of his Flexies right, and I get all 5 of mine wrong. He's the winner, I'm the loser, Federico somewhere in the middle. I am on the hook for 5 times 25, $125 donation to the charity of Myke's choosing.
Correct.
Okay. That makes more sense than what we had, I think.
Okay.
All right. So let me copy this into the bottom of the document so it's there for the future.
There's a lot less flexing in that, though, but yes, it's still flexy nevertheless.
Yeah.
There was more flexing when it was double the money.
But also, we need to put in the details of the Twitter account. That is not specified in the Bill of Rickies currently.
That's true.
The winner gets
That is
access.
really true.
The winner should be awarded with access to the Twitter account.
I really feel sorry for Matthias, who created the physical Bill of Rickies, because we're now changing all of the rules again.
They got to do it again. So,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So I'm going to say, I tattooed it on my leg. How do you think I feel?
Yeah.
The winner of the regular plus risky picks must be granted access to the annual or event chairman Twitter account and will retain access until another winner
It's crowned.
is named.
You don't like the royal naming that. Crowned is fine,
I mean, it just feels a little.
but nevertheless. All right.
Okay, good call, Federico.
Are we done with the rules now?
For this time, yes.
Well, can you go over them again?
I'm not doing that again.
Just to make sure that there's a nice flow in the way they are spelled out.
Everyone has already skipped this chapter. Let's just move on. All right. So we want to do round 1? Or do you really want me to read the rules again?
No, I mean, if you don't want to do it, it's fine. You'll do it better next time. I just feel like it wasn't like... I was expecting like a more pompous and official tone in reading them.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, give us the full, because what we were supposed to have right now was a full read through and then begin.
We're supposed to have a town crier and, and the physical thing. It's like it should be a whole thing.
But instead,
happening.
we've just sat and just done some litigation for the last 20 minutes.
It's just sad. Like you just went through a bullet list and then you made some changes. It's like listening to a call with your editor.
We were making minutes. It was like,
make it fun. Give me some fun here.
It is now time for the reading and not the debating of the Bill of Rickies. The winner, who in this event will be called Keynote Chairman, from the previous Rickies gets to pick first. The second place winner picks second. Annual winners roll over to preserve the order. 2019 annual winner gets to go first in 2020, etc. The order of the Apple event Rickies, which is what we're doing today, is based on the previous Apple event. The loser goes last. The last event Rickies were at WWDC 2020. Myke was in first place. Steven was in second place by losing a coin toss. Federico was the loser. To earn any points, everything written down in the prediction document must come true. No half points may be awarded in any round. Picks cannot be reused. 1 point is awarded for any pick deemed correct in the first 2 rounds, while 2 points will be awarded for correct picks in the risky pick round. But if your risky pick is wrong, you will lose a point, and the other 2 hosts must have agreed that your pick was risky. The winner of the regular and risky picks must be granted access to the annual or event chairman Twitter account and will retain access until another winner is named. loser of the non-graded Flexies must compensate the winner of the Flexies by donating to the charity of the winner's choice. The amount of the donation is $25 per wrong Flexie made by the loser. In the case of a tie, the ratio of correct to incorrect Flexies will be taken into account, and each host must make a minimum of 5 Flexie picks.
Wow. These are beautiful rules. I wouldn't change a single thing about them. This is a wonderfully documented and versatile and flexible document that accounts for all possible scenarios. I love it. Mm-hmm. This is so perfect. So
I think we can all agree that we've finally settled the rules.
These are really good rules.
These are good rules.
We should be in charge of legislation now that I think about it. Like we obviously
look how easily we fixed all of our problems.
We have a knack for finding loopholes and potential. Yep. Like I don't know. I just feel like I could, I could take the Constitution for a spin and actually make a few edits that probably makes sense.
Spin.
I don't know.
I'll give it a once over.
I think I could. I should have looked into legislation when I was younger as a potential job opportunity.
You would be an infuriating legislator in like the best possible way.
I guess it's never too late to be a politician. I mean, look at the United States. So who knows? Maybe someday.
Round 1. Myke, you get to go first.
Apple unveils a new Apple Watch.
Wow.
Short and sweet.
Wow.
I am the retaining champion, and I intend to retain.
That's how he wins.
I'm sorry. I don't have anything exciting for you in round 1. You might as well said
Apple exists as your first pick.
The Rickies do not say anything about obviousness. So I'm just going for it. Like, do I think there will be a new Apple Watch? Yeah, I do. I really do think that. If there's one product I feel pretty confident about existing next Tuesday is a new Apple Watch. I really want to win. So I very rarely get to win these types of things, and I want to continue the royal reign, 100 years rule of
wow. What's missing from this pick?
Go on.
Passion. There's no passion in this.
No passion in it. You're right. But Federico, I don't care, right? There's no passion in it. But you know where there's no passion? In the rules either. The rules are very straight.
Oh, there is passion in those rules, believe me. But you are content with living your passion-free life, I guess.
Yeah.
So
if I'm the winner, then yes.
Yeah, okay.
Federico, can we have a sidebar?
Sure.
You know how Myke used to lose these because he made really specific picks?
Yeah, he got burned.
We trained him to make really generic picks, and I think it's going to backfire on us.
Yeah.
Look, because before I was ridiculed for passion, I was ridiculed for being particular. So I've had enough, right? I want to win.
Now that I think about it, we did training, which makes me think of other experiments that we could run without telling Myke on the show. Like some subtle, what are they called? Like in the movies, are they called like a
sleeper cell agent?
No. Like
I'm
those hidden messages. Or what are they called? Like subliminal messages.
Subliminal.
Yes. Yeah. Some like subliminal things that we say to Myke, and then over time we train Myke to behave or think in a certain way. That could be interesting. Anyway.
Subliminal.
I think my brain is pretty susceptible to stuff like that, so you'll probably have a pretty good go of it.
Awesome. Okay, I'll put together some ideas, Steven.
I got a little more specific with my round 1 pick. I said the Apple Watch Series 6 uses the Series 4 and 5 design. I don't think we're due for a refresh of the design yet. I think they're going to look the same.
I want to get some parameters on this one.
Of course you do.
Because there could be thickness changes, right?
That's a good point.
What if I rephrase it as the Apple Watch Series 6 does not come with a substantial redesign?
I mean, well, then what? If it's thinner, do you get the point?
It would have to be thinner to the point where so here's I'm not saying this is what I'm saying, but in my mind what I thought was if someone's wearing it, it would be difficult to tell which one it is. If it's half as thick, that's a redesign.
Well, you see, that's what the spirit of the pick is.
That's
difficult to write down.
Okay, so Apple Watch Series 6 will be, comma, at a glance, using the same design as the Series 4 and 5.
I mean, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
But I don't want to hear a big fight from you on this one.
If it's 2 millimeters thinner and you say I don't get it, I will quit the show. Just keep that in mind.
Wait.
Okay.
You think 2 millimeters thinner would be perceptible at a glance?
I don't know. Put it in the rules. Put it in the rules. What's your millimeter threshold for thinners?
I don't know how millimeters work.
No, Stephen, if you can at a glance detect 2 millimeters of thickness change, you are a superhuman.
Oh, you know you're not gonna get the tweets from people saying I can detect millimeter.
I don't believe anyone who says that they can tell me that they can look at something at a glance and tell if it's 2 millimeters difference in different.
Old
thickness.
ruler eyes over there can do it, but
I mean, you can glance at a microscope and tell that it's different. So
Yeah, but no,
technically
I
you
want to
can.
confirm this, Stephen. If it's 2 millimeters thinner, will you think you get the point?
Also,
Yeah.
at a glance, I think you're tricking us. You are tricking us here because at a glance, like what if you're glancing at measuring tape?
Come on.
Like for example, what is
You
at
guys-
a glance? Like what? I don't trust this at a glance qualifier. I think it's a tricky thing you put in there to fool us.
The design of the Apple Watch is it's like face on.
well, look at the difference between the Series 3 and 4, right? A little thinner and
No,
broader.
but the difference was the screen, the shape of the screen. No one was
not the
like,
shape of
oh,
the
that
screen."
looks so different because of the thinness. No, it was because the corner's radius changed.
This is going downhill fast. Boy.
No, if you want your pick to be that the Apple Watch Series 6 is like perceptibly thinner, then you make it that pick.
No, I'm saying the opposite. It is basically the same. The Series 6 does not bring a redesign.
So what is your pick? What is it?
I don't know what you're arguing anymore then. Restate your pick,
I think
please.
you should go back to the original text. I think it was
Can you-
better.
Okay. Undo in Google Docs. It initially
We
said
just argued about nothing
Apple Watch.
because Mike wanted parameters for this.
Yeah. My original pick, Apple Watch Series 6, uses the Series 4 and Series 5 design.
I mean, I'm fine with this. I don't
Let's
know
go
why
with it.
Mike
I mean,
wanted
I am
parameters.
confident this one's
If
going to
it
cause
is
us a problem.
slightly thinner, I still get this. What I'm really saying is there's not a substantial redesign.
So the shape,
And then
of,
Mike
so
just
the,
wants to argue about
so,
what substantial means.
So the shape of the screen and like the edges like of the
Yeah.
frame.
All right,
Okay.
yeah, I'm up with
It
that.
looks like the Series 4
you
and
know,
5.
I think I misunderstood the point that you were making. I apologize.
Okay.
I think we were actually making the same argument, but I thought that you were arguing against me, so I apologize.
Okay. So it's a point for me now.
What are you talking about?
What?
Okay, so as it is written, does that work for y'all?
Yes.
Series 6 uses
Well-
the 4 and 5 design?
This is one. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I'm curious to see where that one ends up landing, but yeah.
If it is slightly thinner, I still get it because it's the same design, right? It's
This is gonna go horribly. Okay.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
so too.
So my pick is that at least one of the new iPads will have an iPad Pro inspired design.
what does that mean?
So obviously, okay, so what we're all thinking here is the iPad Air with the flat edges and rounded screen. But I phrased it in a way that if Apple announces multiple iPad models next week, at least one of them will have a physical design that resembles the iPad Pro. And by iPad Pro inspired, I mean there's multiple elements, right? The liquid retina display, with the rounded corners and no home button, with the Face ID authentication, of course, as well as the flat edges and the flat back, basically moving away from the current design of the iPad Air.
Yeah, the only addendum I would like to make to this, or just question I would like to pose to you, is that it is not an iPad Pro,
right.
right?
If they have a new iPad Pro, that technically fits your language.
I mean,
Right.
it fits at least one of the new iPads as an iPad Pro inspired design because the iPad
Yeah,
Pro...
but I don't think that should count. I think the spirit of this pick is it's a new iPad that inherits the design of
Yes.
the iPad Pro.
So at least one of the new iPads as an iPad Pro.
Yep.
Like I think it's phrased in a way that is pretty self-explanatory.
The only thing I would add is after the word new, I would say non-pro iPads.
There you go.
Yeah, I think that's okay. Yeah, that's the spirit of the pick anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just trying to solve for ambiguation here, you know?
That's right.
At least one of the new non-Pro iPads has an iPad Pro inspired design. Yes.
Yep. I can get behind that.
Yep.
Okay.
And for me, honestly, I'll just state my feeling on this. If any iPad has flat sides, you've got it. Like, that's all it needs to be, right? Like, it can be as simple as that.
Well, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
If it has flat sides, but still has Touch ID somewhere.
That's still iPad Pro inspired to me.
I agree with you. I agree. I think the flat sides is the key here.
Yeah, because it's the only device that has them now. And like, for example, people are already saying that the iPhone 12 will be iPad Pro inspired because it'll have the flat edges.
People are even saying the iMac will be iPad Pro inspired.
So
everything starts with the iPad
Pro. I mean, the Pro Display XDR is iPad Pro inspired.
But also, I would say,
think about it.
Like, I would say the opposite as well. Like, if it for some reason has rounded edges, but the shape of the display with the liquid retina display is the same of the iPad Pro, I think that also counts as iPad Pro inspired because it's ditching the home button in favor of the iPad Pro approach.
I think it will need a little bit of conversation, but I am willing to agree with you there. Like, I think that might take a little bit more. Like, all right, let's look at this. Then the flat sides is super easy to judge.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it's like the home button's gone and it's got the rounded corners like the iPad Pros do, then yeah, like I'm also on board with that. But that one is just like a little less visually obvious, I think, than the flat sides part.
So that's round one.
It's round one. For round two, I am going for another completely passionless pick. Which, like, obviously, you know, because this is a pick, like, Federico will also get a point if I get a point. So it's kind of like a mutually assured destruction thing here. Apple unveils a new iPad, not Pro.
Okay. I mean, sure. It's, yeah. A new iPad. So with this pick, you can get a point if Apple announces the iPad Air, the iPad Mini, the base model iPad, all kinds of iPads. So
something new.
Something new
entirely.
Something new, the iPad Massive.
Now imagine if there's no
Max.
iPad next week. Now that would be funny.
That would be very funny.
Yeah. Then these picks are a bloodbath.
Yeah, it would be a very bad time for all of us.
All right.
But that's what I'm going with.
Okay.
Cool. I think that's cut and dry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, I know it's not exciting. I apologize, but
no, we're used to it.
We
expect it coming from you.
Yeah,
now.
you expect it from me.
Yeah, we trained you well. So, Steven, this next one, I will say when I looked at it, your next normal pick, I thought it was meant to be a Ricky. I do think there's a risk factor to your second pick. That I don't know. Why don't you tell us the pick?
Federico, without risk, there's not passion.
Right. Oh, man. You see, Myke, that's how you do it. It doesn't surprise.
So I assume, Federico, you were overflowing with risk earlier when you decided to throw everything out the window.
Well, sometimes it's about risk and sometimes it's about style. You know, just got to do it in style.
And sometimes it's about just giving up for the afternoon.
Right.
Okay,
So.
cool. Just checking.
My second pick, the new iPad Air will switch to USB-C.
That's a big one, man. Like, I see where you're going with this, but that you might be a year early on that.
Maybe. Or maybe I'm right on time.
If they are switching to the iPad Pro inspired design, I think it makes sense to say
that's what made me think it.
We're moving away from Lightning to USB-C. In the context of like there's these iPad Pro features trickling down into the line, and now you can also use USB accessories, and I could honestly also see the smart connector, for example. So I think it makes sense in the context of that. It's risky because the iPad Pro is the only one with the USB-C connector, and Apple could also think, well, this is one of the differentiating factors that we're going to keep exclusive to the iPad Pro line. So you do get the new design, but you still got to use Lightning.
And I think one of the extenuating factors of this is the iPhone, right?
I don't think so.
Well, I think it's a little tricky to start bringing USB-C to other products. Like, you just start stretching that out when the iPhone remains Lightning.
I mean, did you forget about the Mac? Every other product has it. Like, I think the iPhone stands alone because the ecosystem of things that people plug into their iPhones is a magnitude larger than the things that people plug into their iPads. And so I think iPad users who go from Lightning to USB-C, yeah, it's going to be a pain for some of them. But for most of them, that just means the charging cable is different. And it may mean a good thing. That means they can charge it with their laptop charger. For the phone, though, you plug into cars, you have clock rate. Like, everything has Lightning for phones. I just think the iPad lives in a little bit different space there.
You know, I did have a thought a couple of days ago where, like, I needed to go somewhere, and I was frustrated that I had to take two cables, one for my iPad and one for my phone.
Yeah.
I had that thought where it's like, oh, God.
It is frustrating.
It's like, I'm not sure if I was regretting the iPad Pro going to USB-C or wishing the iPhone to go to USB-C. Like, I'm not sure which way around it was, but I was frustrated nevertheless.
It is frustrating. And anybody who says, oh, but we prefer Lightning because it's Apple, no, they're lying or they're fooling themselves. It's so much better to have a common standard that works with a bunch of devices.
Yeah,
like, it's
it
awesome.
should all be USB-C.
It's
Everything
awesome
USB-C.
that I have a cable in the kitchen, like I have a charging station in the kitchen, and I can plug my iPad Pro, I can plug my external battery, my Nintendo Switch. It's awesome. And if you don't see that, then you should really look into it. Like this USB-C thing, you should really try it because it's very convenient. Now, I'm not saying the Lightning is not convenient. I get it. It's got some of the same benefits. It's slightly smaller and it's reversible. I get it. But it only works with Apple devices. And, you know, people also like to use other electronics. So
I also like to just take a moment at this point to say how great Thunderbolt is. I got a Thunderbolt dock.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really good to just plug a bunch of stuff into like a box and just have one cable.
Well, you got the Cal digit, right? Maybe we put that in the show notes so people can see it. Yeah, the Thunderbolt is really cool. Like, I still love the dream of, like, one cable for everything. You know, you put your laptop down and, like, everything's already there and you plug it in. Thunderbolt delivers on that if you're willing to spend some money.
Yeah. Oh, and you really do. Like, I got the TS3 Plus, and it's like, I think it's like multiple hundreds of dollars. Like, I got it for the podcastathon, but, like, I'm very, very happy with it. Because I also can use the same dock with my Windows laptop. Right? And everything just works. It's fantastic. Very happy with that.
All right, so y'all are cool with the new iPad Air. We'll switch to USB-C. Seems clear.
I would love it to happen, and I hope that you're right on this one. I think, but we'll see. We'll see. Depends how pro they want to go, right? Like, how close do you want to get with it being like quote unquote pro? We'll find out.
I'm cool with it, and I respect you. I'm just concerned about you for this pick.
Let me raise a hypothetical. I don't think this hypothetical will come true, but I just want it out there. Let's say there's a new iPad and it has flat sides. So Federico gets his point. It switches to USB-C, but it's not called the iPad Air. On paper, I would lose that pick, but I feel like in my heart, I would win it. What do y'all think?
I think you should remove Air out of, like, because the rest of us have all gone with, like, you should just say, like, a new non-pro iPad switches to USB-C. And then you're in line with my pick and Federico's pick. That's the most fair for you.
Done. At least one new non-pro iPad will switch to USB-C.
Yeah.
Non-pro iPad.
Non-pro.
What if Apple announces a new iPad Pro and it switches to Lightning? Can you imagine that?
Then we all lose. We've all
That'd be
lost.
terrible. That'd be awful.
That'd be horrible. Why would they do that?
I don't know. It's 2020 though, so it could happen.
That would be a Ricky if you want to put it in.
That would be the definition of a Ricky. Okay, so my second normal pick. This is actually quite interesting, I think. Apple introduces a lower-end Apple Watch model in addition to the higher-end, quote-unquote, Series 6. Or we're calling the successor to the Series 5. So I think Apple will introduce, this has been rumored before by Gurman, whom I absolutely trust, that Apple will introduce, in addition to the new watch, to the new Series 6 watch, also a lower end model that is cheaper than, for folks who want to buy a cheaper Apple Watch. I think it's an interesting idea. To say we have the brand new watch with all the fancy stuff, but we also made a new version that is more affordable, that has fewer features, but that you can also use for fitness and for notifications and for all these other things that the Apple Watch is loved. So I think this has been rumored recently, so there's a certain degree of reliability, I guess, in this pick, as it was reported in Bloomberg, I believe, last week, or even, I'm not sure if it was mentioned yesterday in the report, but it was definitely mentioned a few weeks ago. So I think it's an interesting idea. I think it will make for a nice message to say we have this expensive watch with all the fancy stuff, but we also made an affordable model. I think it would benefit Apple to make it clear that there's a more affordable version of the Apple Watch, so that they can, competition from Fitbits and the Amazon now as a thing, I believe. I think it would be useful to say you can get in on the Apple Watch ecosystem at a more affordable price. So I think I would actually it's not the watch that I would buy myself, but I think it's something they should do.
Well, and it'd be a cheaper Apple Watch. I'm not inserting this into your pick. This is what I want to see. That isn't just an old Apple Watch, right? Like, do what you did with the iPhone SE.
Maybe it's the return of the Sport brand. Remember?
Maybe
Apple Watch Sport.
Yeah. Oh man, they used to be called that.
Maybe they'll do like Apple Watch Sport, Apple Watch Series 6, and Apple Watch Edition again. Maybe we'll go back to that. I would like that. I like that branding, honestly. I think I want to talk about what this product is a little bit when it comes to pick grading, because obviously Apple have been like, oh, and hey, the Series 3's back, right? So like, what is this product, right? Like,
I think
you know what I mean.
So obviously, I think it needs to be mentioned during the keynote. I think it's something that, all the things that usually all the things that we cover in our Rickies, they need to be mentioned in the keynote, right? It's not like, do we ever pick things that are like hidden on Apple's website?
So I think the way that we've done it before, which again may be another raw change, is basically just anything up until recording. If a piece of information can be discovered,
okay,
it's like basically up until the recording. So it's not just what's in the keynote.
So it's
just basically, can it be proved before we record?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So the Bloomberg report very clearly said Apple will introduce 2 Apple Watch models, one of them being the lower end version. So I think it needs to be clear I don't think it'll just be the Series 3 coming back.
It's new.
I think it needs to be new.
Yeah.
Right? Because I honestly don't see. I don't even see the Series 3 coming back out again with the same internals. They're quite dated at this point. So I think it needs to be a new thing with a new chip. Just maybe fewer sensors. Maybe, it doesn't have the new sensor stuff that's going to be in the Series 6. I don't think they can re-release a 3-year-old Apple Watch just out of the blue again.
Okay.
Right? So it needs to be a new thing.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you.
The only potential complication there, I guess, is if it is the Series 3, but they changed the internals. But then again, I think it would be kind of weird if they're bringing back a watch that has the number 3 and now we're number 6. I don't think that's a great strategy.
Yeah. I think that's where something like Apple Watch SE or Apple Watch Sport, like another name, solves that problem for them. They had the same thing with the 8, right? The iPhone 11 and then the iPhone 8. It's like, well, that seems really older than it is. We call it SE, get rid of the number, and it sort of gives you some buffer there. So I think you're on with this. I like to see this.
What if, to help us grade it, like this pick is that Apple introduces a lower-end Apple Watch model with a new brand name?
Well,
I'm trying to find something so we can
what if it's just called
on.
Apple Watch? Right?
Oh, but that's fine. There isn't a product called Apple Watch now. Right? They're Apple Watch Series 6.
Well, I think inserting the brand makes us 2 picks. Like,
yeah.
Right.
I think if it's introduces a lower end, here's I think how we solve both.
Okay.
Apple introduces a new lower end Apple Watch model. You don't have the new in there, and I think that's sort of key here.
The only potential challenge there is what if if they're doing this, I think it's going to have the new design, right? So they're going to use the post-Series 4 hardware design. But again, what if it's just the Series 4 or the Series 5 name, but the watch is actually different from the... Sort of like they did with the Series 0.
That is technically new.
Which, I guess it's technically new. So the new adjective could work in that context.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a watch that hasn't existed until
before
they announce it.
Yeah, I think new works. Yes.
Because it's either inside or out, right? That's what we're going to agree on, right?
Yeah.
Like inside or out, it's not the same as something else that's existed.
So it's either got new internals or it's got its own name. So one of the two will make it a new Apple Watch, I think. Like if they take the Series 5, okay, and they call it the Apple Watch SE, I think that is a new Apple Watch.
That's out. That's one of the outside changes, right?
Yeah.
This episode of Connected is brought to you by Pingdom from SolarWinds. Today's internet users expect a fast experience on your website. No matter how good your content is or how effective your marketing may be, people are going to bounce if your website is loading too slowly. With real user monitoring from Pingdom, you can discover how website performance issues affect your visitors' experience so you can take action before your business is impacted. How your visitors experience your website differs depending on the browser, device, and platform that they're using. So you want to identify how visitors are experiencing your website so you can make informed optimizations and deliver a great performance to those who matter most. Real user monitoring is an event-based solution, so it's built to scale, meaning you can monitor millions of page views without compromising the fidelity of your historical data or breaking the bank in the process. Get live visitor insights today with real user monitoring from Pingdom. Go to pingdom.com/relayfm right now for a 14-day free trial with no credit card required. When you sign up, use the code CONNECTED at checkout to get an awesome 30% off your first invoice. Our thanks to Pingdom from SolarWinds for their support of the show and Relay FM. It's time, gentlemen.
Okay.
It's
Ricky time.
Myke, are you ready for whatever is going on with you, Ricky?
No, because I have two Rickies, right? And I want to just put them both out there. One of them is going to become my final flexi. I only have 4 flexies in the document out of the 5 minimum. So one of these will become a flexi. And I just want to maybe get them out. If the two of you want to talk through it, you can, but I'm just going to talk through it myself. So one of my picks is that we get no specific date for iOS 14 launching during the presentation. That's one of those old school classic particular picks. But I think particular in my favor. And then the second one is that a non-pro iPad gets a LiDAR sensor. So that's kind of where I am, right?
They're both very Ricky.
Yeah, but I think there's some... Okay, so let me talk through my thinking on these, right? A little bit with you, just for the fun of it. So I think that the iOS 14 thing is... I don't think that they have to say, and I don't think it would be in their best interest to say, right? Now... The Apple Watch will, I think, most likely be running watchOS 7. I don't think that it will be running watchOS 6. Apple will announce, I'm sure, the date that the Apple Watch will be shipping, but then they have a window of any amount of time between then to put iOS 14 out. And I think announcing a date for 14 would be not the best thing to do when you have that window.
Well, okay, no, let me understand here. So you think the new Apple Watch will carry watchOS 7, right?
I do, yes.
And you think they will give us a release date for the new Apple Watch, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think the Apple Watch is coming out in September? Because you do realize the watchOS 7 requires iOS 14.
That's what I know. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah, I do think it is, but I think it could be a week or 2 weeks, right, for the Apple Watch. I don't think it has to be a week. I think it could say like, oh, you can pre-orders go live next week and then they ship the week after, right? So then they have 2 weeks in which they could release iOS 14 at any point during that period of time. And they might want to do it on the Wednesday rather than the Tuesday because it gives them an extra... Do you know what I mean? Like, I just think that it would be bold, I think, and maybe unnecessary to announce the specific date maybe 2 and a bit weeks in advance, when all they need to do is give everybody 1 week notice.
But it's not as simple as that, right? I mean, you gotta get carrier approvals, for example, for the new version of iOS. Like, it's not just developers with the GM.
Right, but how much time do they typically give for that, though? How long... GM is usually a week to release, though, right?
Yeah, but... I don't know, man. It just feels very risky to say they're going to have an event and they're not going to say anything about iOS 14.
Well, no, but they can say it's coming. Like they can say, like, iOS 14 will ship before the end of September, or it's coming soon, or it will come with the Apple Watch.
Like, wouldn't it be weird if they just said, "Oh, it's coming. Don't worry, but we're not giving you a date."
And I think if they say, "Hey, it's coming with the new iPad ships this date," then they've announced the date for iOS 14. Right, they didn't put the sentence together; they split it up, but we still know when it is.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I don't know. I don't know if they're going to do that. I don't know if they're going to say that.
I will give you this. You finally showed off some passion here.
Some passion, yeah.
You are capable of it, which makes me happy.
Are you following why I would
do.
Put it as a question?
I
right?
do follow. Like again, it goes back to the idea. What's the rush? Like you don't need to.
And it's more like if I was making this decision, I would not want to nail myself down to any dates unless I absolutely have to.
Yeah.
And I do not think that they absolutely have to do that. Like I think they still have a little wiggle room. They have a few more days wiggle room.
A due date though.
And that's okay. The next one is that any iPad that they release gets a LiDAR sensor. And the LiDAR sensor seems like an important thing to Apple, maybe more than even Face ID on a new iPad, because the LiDAR sensor is important for the future more than Face ID is, right? Because the LiDAR sensor helps with AR, and AR is increasingly becoming a thing that Apple will want to put more and more time into and want developers making things for, right? Like Face ID doesn't do that, you know? Like Face ID is a nice thing for us, but Touch ID on that iPad, I'm sure people will be super happy about that too. But more LiDAR sensors in the world is a net positive for Apple's future strategies. And I think that the current rumors are suggesting that all of the iPhones will get a LiDAR sensor, if I remember correctly. Does that sound right to you guys?
I think so.
I think that the current
or is it just
rumor
the Pro?
I don't know anymore. I don't remember. It's been so difficult to keep track of that. But yeah.
I think you're dead on. Apple's pushing AR. The LiDAR sensor is a big move in that direction. But I think the other side of that coin is like, is it too expensive to put in an iPad that doesn't cost iPad Pro money? Like, I don't know, or would they want to continue to blur the product lines? If the iPad Air looks like an iPad Pro and it has a LiDAR sensor, then like, what's the difference between it and the Pro? To most people.
But I don't think people care about the, like. People don't care about AR
or the LiDAR sensor.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
In terms of our competition here, I think your first one is I think it's riskier, but I also think it's going to be harder.
I think,
judge.
Honestly, having spoken about it, I'm leaning towards the LiDAR sensor one.
I think you should do the LiDAR sensor one.
I'm going for the LiDAR sensor one.
I really do think they're going to give us a date for iOS 14. We got Beta 8 today, so it's up. They're wrapping up the work there.
Like, even though it's very possible that you're trying to fake me out.
I'm not, or am I? I don't know.
I think the LiDAR one is still risky for all of the reasons that you mentioned, right? That, like, we don't know how expensive an item that is, and, but I do believe that this is one of those technologies that Apple will want to get on as many products they can, and the iPad doesn't get refreshed that often. So if you're gonna make changes to it, put it on there now, and then you've got it on there for a couple of years for when it's really important to Apple, right? Like, even more so than it is now. So I'm going with a non-Pro iPad gets a LiDAR sensor.
I think the first potential option was riskier. I still think this one qualifies as a risky pick because LiDAR on the iPad, it is right now the only new feature of the iPad Pro line in 2020. And the Magic Keyboard, I guess. The Magic Keyboard can only be purchased for the iPad Pro. So I do think that if you would have said here, a non-pro iPad gets support for the Magic Keyboard, I would have agreed to make it a risky pick. Because I think
that would be real risky. I think that's going to be the only thing, really.
It's one of my flexes, I think. I think taking any of the exclusive features of the 2020 iPad Pro line and saying this is coming to the non-pro iPad, I think it qualifies with a certain riskness involved. So you do have, it's less risky but risky enough.
I think if I'm I think the reason that I'm happy to pick it though is that yes, this iPad Pro has it, but I think Apple's not unrealistic in like the assumption that anybody cares about it from a consumer perspective, right? That if you put it on there, that people are going to be like, hang on a minute, I think it should only be on my iPad Pro. I don't think you know what I mean? I don't think it's a thing that anybody cares about, where they're like, well, I'm not going to get the iPad Pro now because the other iPad has a LiDAR sensor. I think things like the Magic Keyboard are much more of a selling point. And a promotion display even, a much more of a selling point to people than the LiDAR sensor is. So yeah, that's why I'm comfortable in keeping this as my risky pick.
My risky pick, the iPad mini will also be updated to look like the new iPad Air, which will be influenced by the iPad Pro design.
You are a
stacks on stacks.
Madman. Okay.
Mad
mini
lad.
passion.
Absolute mad lad here.
So the iPad, I'm just reading this again. The iPad mini will also be updated to look like the new iPad Air, which will be influenced by the... So I'm going to
cut that middle section out.
Okay.
The iPad mini will be updated with a new design.
An iPad Pro inspired design. Okay, which will be... Inspired
by
the iPad Air
design.
part was pointless.
Yeah.
Could have really come back to bite you badly.
You were adding 2 conditions to the pick.
So I put that in, I think, before some of the other iPad Air stuff got put in. So this makes sense in context without it. So the iPad mini will be updated with a new design inspired by the iPad Pro design.
This is bold.
This is bold. This is Ricky. This is risky. This is the product I personally would love to see.
Yes.
We want it to happen. I believe it will happen. I don't think it's happening next week.
This is a product I want. The last rumor that we got about this product, I checked today as we were, shall we say, debating our picks.
Yeah, one could suggest it was a debate.
Minchik, friend of the show, said that this product was coming in 2021. So you are risking it all, my friend, here with the iPad mini.
I want to believe, man.
But I do respect you, as I said before.
Yep, this is one of those picks that sometimes you got to make a pick because it's what's in your heart, and
a man of passion through and through. Really,
that's right. It is more risky than Myke's, I think.
Yeah, you've made my passion look like a walk in the park.
Look like yeah. This is okay. And it should be called iPad Mini, right? Just to clarify, it's the new version of the iPad Mini. It's the iPad Mini line. Okay.
I mean, if they updated the iPad Mini and they tweaked the name, then this wording is still correct. The iPad Mini was updated to something else.
Let me ask you, what if it's flat sides, but still with the home button?
It is still inspired by the iPad Pro design because our definition was flat sides.
We previously discussed flat sides as being enough for one of your picks. So.
Okay, yes, I love this, and good luck, I guess. I want it.
I want it.
Okay, yep. So my risky pick is the following. I'm not picking anything iPad related myself. So the new Apple Watch Series 6, so the new Apple Watch, will have at least one new built-in app because of an exclusive feature of the new watch. So my thinking is the new watch is going to have something new, whether it's a new sensor or some other new tech that enables a new built-in application in watchOS 7 for the new watch. Yep. I'm thinking so. the precedent for this could be something like the ECG app, of course, that was only available for the watches that were capable of taking your ECG. So basically thinking along those lines, it's been rumored that this watch may have the ability to monitor your blood oxygen levels, for example. So there could be a separate utility for that. It was also rumored that this watch could have something related to stress detection or panic attack detection. So I'm thinking that this new watch has got to have something new, right? I think it's time for the Apple Watch to start adding new sensors again, new hardware features again. And usually when that happens, there's usually like a new built-in app to go along with it. So that's my pick. The new Series 6 Apple Watch will have at least one new built-in app.
And this, just to clarify, I will offer the clarification that we all had earlier on in our discussions. This isn't a new feature in an existing application. This is straight up a new app that you can pick from the list, like the ECG app. The ECG app is what we're focusing on here. Like, if this watch has additional features inside of the fitness app, that does not count. This has to be a brand new application with its own icon, with its own name, which is pickable from the honeycomb on the list, that does not exist on any other watch. Like, if they add a new application to watchOS 7 that's on the Series 5 and the Series 4, this does not count. It must be exclusive to the Series 6 Apple Watch.
It has to be exclusive to the...
Cool. I'm not saying you need to hear this, but I just want to clarify it for people that will also be scoring the Rickies.
I guess the only... Well, this is where I need to draw a line myself, right? What if the lower-end model also has this new sensor and the app is also available on the...
I think that's fine.
On the lower-end model. Do I get the point or not? That's debatable.
Yeah, you do. It's new. I think that's fine.
Wait, say that again? An app that is new.
So
if there's a brand new Apple Watch SE that also has this feature, that Federico still gets the point, I think that's perfectly fine.
So primarily, I'm thinking that this app will not be available to the existing Apple Watches, the Series 3, 4, and 5, right? This app will be exclusive to the Series 6, the new one. However, in the context of what if there's also the second new 2020 Apple Watch that is the lower end model, and that model also gets this new app, do I get the point or not? That's, I think, the
way it's written now, I don't think you would.
I think we should make an amendment to the pick, which is that there will be a new built-in application for a new Apple Watch that has not existed on a previous Apple Watch. Like, we could just say a new Apple Watch has at least one new built-in application.
Because of an exclusive feature.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could work. Okay.
You wanna tweak that?
Yeah, I will do the tweaking and then you can agree, Federico.
But so I think one of the new
there you go. A new Apple Watch has at least one new built-in application because of an exclusive feature of this watch.
Because of an exclusive feature not found on existing watches, I think is more clear.
Then you change the wording again too. This is we're all working together on this. This is why we use Google Docs, because it is instantly a new Apple Watch has at least one new built-in app because of an exclusive feature not found on existing watches.
Not found on existing watches. Yes. Yeah, I think it's risky enough. Saying that Apple is working on new built-in apps, I think it's always quite risky itself. And we don't have any, we haven't heard any specifics and we haven't seen any leaks in terms of what's this new sensor gonna be exactly. So a new Apple Watch stuff, because you don't have cases, right, for the Apple Watch, that stuff doesn't leak. Like the hardware design and the internals of the watch. It's very hard to come by schematics for Apple Watch leaks and that kind of stuff.
Well, it's like we were completely surprised by the Apple Watch's new features last year.
Exactly.
Nobody knew about the Always On or anything.
Yeah.
We'd actually given up on it.
Yeah, so a new built-in app. I think that's what's going to happen. And of course, I do not get the point if one of the existing apps gets renamed, I think.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's true. Because that doesn't hit that next part, right?
Exactly. If ECG and heart rate get merged into a single heart app for the watch, I do not get the point. Because those are existing things, just changed their names.
Yeah, and you would assume that would find its way onto the other watches that have those sensors. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, the second part of this, the exclusive feature, kind of helps enforce the point on that. So that's the end of the point scoring rounds. So we move into the inaugural Flexies round. So just as a reminder, the loser of the Flexies part of the competition will need to make a donation to a charity of the winner's choice based upon how many Flexies they get wrong. Shall I just do my entire list of 5? And all right, okay.
That's what I thought. We would each just do all 5 of ours, and we could just talk about them as we go.
So, well, this is interesting. One of my Flexies is details of a new iPad mini, so we're going down together on this one. So, and it is worth pointing out that the Flexies they're completely detached from the other ones, so we can make picks like that. Another one is that someone will wash their hands during the presentation.
So
I like that.
Let me visualize this. This is like someone is washing their hands and then they turn and they're like, "Oh, hi, didn't see you there," and they're just rinsing their hands.
I thought of it that way, but I would like that. It was more as in like, "Oh, look at me demoing the 20-second countdown thing of WatchOS 7." But yes, also that would count, and I would like that even more.
Kevin Lynch comes out of a bathroom stall. He's like, "Oh,
yes,
hello."
Yes.
A new non-Pro iPad gets the 2nd-gen Apple Pencil.
Okay.
Right? If they're all getting flat sides, then it would be wild
and
not to.
You're all getting pencils. Okay.
WatchOS 7 gets a software feature we haven't seen yet. So, Federico, me and you, we're on a wave there.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And we get no specific date for iOS 14 launching during the presentation. Our friend has returned.
Down
for the
in the losers
Flexi
bracket, we see this pick again.
I think it's possible that I could win the Rickies and horrifically lose the Flexies. I think
this is
that
a
might
real
be
chance,
where I end up going.
All right, mine are Jaws wears a non-solid colored shirt.
Wait, what? Jaws wears...
Yeah.
So what's
Jaws
the
wears
joke
wild shirts. That's his thing, right?
Yeah, Phil Schiller wears like all green or all blue. Tim Cook wears all black or whatever.
Jaws goes paisley all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, or like Hawaiian or something. So a non-solid colored shirt. Okay. The event looks mostly like WWDC. Not all on stage in the theater, but using different parts of the campus or the outside world.
Outside world, doesn't look that safe in California right now.
Well, outside can also be inside if you're at Apple Park.
Right. Yeah. Okay. That's
right.
That's a very good sentence.
They
Okay.
have an outside inside.
Number 3. Apple somehow sets expectations for when the iPhone will be announced.
Sort of like see you soon, wink, wink at the end.
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, in my mind, it's, hey, we'll see you in a few weeks talking about the iPhone. Like, just say it.
Okay.
Because like we talked about earlier, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, the removal of 3D touch in watchOS is framed as the inclusion of haptic touch.
Wait.
We've not taken anything away. We've added.
The removal of 3D... I don't understand this.
So they're going to do, in my mind again, they're doing a demo and like, oh, and now with haptic touch, this is even easier.
All right, so first of all, it's called Force Touch.
Whatever it's called. The terrible thing they're taking out. The removal of Force Touch 3D.
It's not called Force Touch.
Extreme.
Okay.
Force Touch 3D Extreme.
Force Touch HD. Okay. In what is... so you're saying that they're going to say, and now we have even more... Oh, okay. But wait, doesn't it already have haptic touch?
Not on 6. I was actually just trying it out. Like if I rest my finger on the screen, nothing's happening.
Okay. I see what you mean. So that they're gonna do the thing where you long press, and it's like on the iPhone where it's not 3D touch, but it fakes with the.
It's called Force Touch, dude. Come on.
Yeah. Okay, I get it. So it's more. Your Flexi is more about the way they're gonna frame it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, not that they're doing it, but like how they approach it.
Okay, I get it.
Mine are all very meta, by the way. Like almost all of mine are about the event itself.
Yes, I noticed. Okay.
And the last one is Apple will preview fall Apple TV Plus content.
Okay. Yeah. Do they have any?
Well, there's like season 2 of a bunch of stuff that's coming. Now, some of that production got delayed because of COVID, but at least For All Mankind is now back shooting. So
For All Mankind will be good. The morning show, very unlikely, but they also have other content that they've purchased.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not even necessarily season 2, but just a preview of fall Apple TV Plus content. The reason I put it here and not an iPhone event next month or whenever that's going to be is that iPad plus Apple Watch feels a little thin. And I think if they're going to do sound stuff like HeadPods or new HomePod, that would be with the phone. And so I was like, what else is kind of floating out there that they could put in with this? And I just snatched Apple TV content.
What about the Macintosh?
That's different thing.
Could they put, but like, I mean, I'm just going to say.
No, it's too soon. Big Sur is nowhere near ready. And
right, but you don't
they said the end of the year. That's not September.
I'm not sure why people think that you have to ship things immediately. I'm not really sure why.
Well, they're not going to, why would they take stage time on September 15th to say the new MacBook Air with Apple Silicon is going to come out November 30th?
Yeah.
It's going to be later.
I'm not saying they will do it. I'm just not saying they won't do it.
They're not going to. I'm saying they're not doing it.
Okay, make that your 6th Flexi then.
Not a Flexi.
Make it.
You know what? I'm going to put it as a 6 Flexi, Michael.
You can have 6. Go on. Minimum 5. You can have as many as you want.
Will not unveil additional details about the release.
You know that by adding more, if you keep losing more, then you owe more money.
Yeah, but that's how confident he feels.
Okay.
So, this is the Flexi part, isn't it? This is what you're flexing. You're like, I'm so smart that I'm willing to put money on the line.
All right.
I'm willing to put money where my flexing is.
Yeah, true flex, but okay.
Okay. Sure.
Okay.
That one slaps. Steve.
All right, Federico, take us home.
My flexes are the following. The new iPad Air will support the Magic Keyboard. I really do feel like they want to make more money out of that thing, which is quite expensive to say the least. And the iPad Air will likely come with the smart connector, so why not? Right?
I think it's a year too soon, but
we'll see. But I think
I support the flex.
I think I really do believe that they like the money coming in from the Magic Keyboards on the iPad Pro. And there could be a nicer balance between the iPad Air being a cheaper device and the Magic Keyboard for the Air also being slightly cheaper. So it's not like you would end up in a situation where...
Well, let me posit this one thing to you.
Sure.
What if they're aware of the fact that they're selling more iPad Pros because of the Magic Keyboard?
Right, that's the risk.
Right. So they make much more money that way.
Yeah.
It's like they held the smart keyboard off for a while.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But I also feel like it would be kind of strange if the iPad Air is getting the iPad Pro design, but it doesn't get... Yeah, I guess it can go both...
Well, but it could get a folio designed keyboard instead of the current one.
Maybe. So this is a passionate flexi, I think.
It's a passion flex.
It's a passion flex. It's something you don't want to see in real life. The second flexi is Apple launches a new subscription service for virtual fitness classes. This has been rumored before on Bloomberg. This fitness service should also become part eventually of the Apple One bundle that Gurman reported on a few weeks ago. And I think, this is the perfect idea for 2020, right? Everybody staying home. Now you can follow virtual fitness classes on your phone, iPad, and Apple TV. I think it makes sense. And also,
I would like to say that this is going to be the Apple Music presentation of 2020. They're going to spend way too much time showing it off.
Yes.
And it's, like Stephen, you were wondering, what are they going to fill time with? They're going to show us 6 different exercise classes. That's what they're going to do.
Yeah. And I think it makes perfect sense in the context of the Activity app becoming Fitness. It's now been renamed as Fitness. And oddly enough, right now, the Fitness app only has 2 tabs at the bottom, which is kind of weird. It feels kind of odd and empty. And obviously that's because I really believe like a new Fitness Plus or whatever it's called tab will slot in nicely right there in the middle so that you can take your virtual classes. The third one, I believe Apple will start showcasing at least one new feature coming in either, I should say, iOS or iPadOS 14.1. So
interesting.
Taking the opposite approach of Michael here and saying not only are they wrapping up work on iOS 14, they're done. They're going to give us a release date. They're also going to say something, and this is also coming in 14.1. And I wouldn't put it I wouldn't put past them to actually say there's a beta of 14.1. Or maybe they will not say it.
What do you think this would be? Do you have any idea? I'm just intrigued.
I don't have any ideas myself. I could see them reinstating some of the files stuff that they showcased last year and never put back. Like, for example, the ability to pin files. That still hasn't found its way back to iOS and iPadOS.
Right.
It was announced at WWDC 2019, and then it was removed. Or the virtual fitness classes could also be 14.1. I do think that they are saving some stuff for they're wrapping up work on 14 and they're saving some stuff for 14.1. It's something that happened before. We've seen them do this before. We've seen them actually, I think also last year maybe they did this, or was it iOS 12, where they give us the GM for the 0.0 version.
This was 13.
But also the beta for 0.1.
Because it was super. Everyone was on the beta for 13.1, and like it was difficult to get back onto the GM of 13.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So, and the fourth pick, sort of along the lines of Steven, at least one segment of the keynote will be shot inside Apple's own fitness labs. So the fancy gym that they have, where, especially in the context of the Apple Watch, and if they do announce the fitness service, I think they're going to show it off, right? And we took all these tests and all this machinery and equipment that we have, and we took hundreds of studies and what. Yeah.
And I'm sure they're very happy and proud to show off this amazing fitness center, right?
From the few photos and videos that we got in previous years, it looked incredible. So, they do have a swimming pool inside, right?
I don't know.
I'm sure they do.
Wow.
I think they showed it off. I think they did show it off. Yeah, anyway. And lastly, iOS 14 launches in September. I do think that will give us a release date, and I can actually, this is not part of the Flexies, but I will give you my personal non-Flexi opinion. And it's just an opinion on it. I think it's either going to be the 23rd or the 30th. One of the two. If they want to be super aggressive, the 23rd. If they want to be slightly more chill about it, the end of the month, the last day of the month. I think it's going to be a Wednesday. And I think it should either the 23rd or the 30th. But that's not part of the Flexi. The Flexi itself is iOS 14 is coming out in September. That is just yeah.
I think that does it.
I think we did it.
I think we've picked everything that can be picked. We have Flexied. We have Rickied. If you want to find show notes this week to the stories we spoke about, head on over to the website, relay.fm/connected/311. While you're there, you can send us an email with feedback or follow-up, especially if that feedback or follow-up confirms that I'm right about backhoes. So send that on.
But please just send that to Stephen.
Yes, it's my email.
I don't need any more backhoe propaganda, thank you.
This is weird, but my email is actually Myke@relay.fm. It's like a secret identity thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. While you're on that page, you can also become a member to get Connected Pro. No ads, longer show. It's super awesome. You can find us all online. Myke is on Twitter at IMYKE, Mr. iMyke over there. Myke, name a show on a different network that you don't host.
This is getting cheekier by the week.
My brother, and me.
Okay. Myke is not part of that show in any way. You can find Federico on Twitter. It's Viticci, Viticci. He is the editor-in-chief of MacStories.net, where you can read about computers and stuff.
Can I also name something? Every week?
Yes.
I also want to start naming something.
I'm gonna ask you questions to get to know you better. Federico, what's your favorite color?
Red. Yes.
Red.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
Why? Why does it make sense?
Because the website's red.
Pasta sauce is red.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said it.
No, I just needed to think about it, but it does make sense. Okay.
You can find me on Twitter as ISMH and my writing over at 512pixels.net. September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. We are raising money for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Learn more and donate stjude.org/relay. I'd like to thank our sponsors for this week's episode, Squarespace, Mint Mobile, and Pingdom. Until next time, guys, say goodbye.
Arrivederci.
Cheerio.
Bye, y'all.